That's the same look my dog gives me when things don't go right.
This is like Max Headroom, isn't it?
Well, we want the group to know we are enjoying their music.
Yeah, I feel it. Look, chillin' with
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. The trouble is not with your set. We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency announcement. Beep! Had this been a real emergency, you would have directed the exit where you go to. We would have told you exactly how to behave and who to behave with. We would have sent someone to your door with the ability to give you a test and a shot so that we could take you to a community outlet and imprison you. Had this not been a test, we would have imprisoned you. Thank you for listening. We now return you to your scheduled program.
So, yeah, I'm going to download all this stuff. Man, you know what I don't like? Nothing, because life is great, right? Yeah. So, what I do think this morning, though, what time is it now?
It is
time for hemp.
It is 4:20 in Central Australia.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's 12:56 here in Portland, Oregon.
It's 3:56 a.m. in Virginia.
Nice.
And it's 1955 in Indiana.
So Central Standard Time.
Central Standard Time. It's about
Great.
What 156, 250, yeah, 256.
Good Lord, people must be high to be up this time of night.
I was doing a little research on China. It turns out Wuhan is basically right above Hong Kong.
Everybody was Wuhan fighting. They said it's most exciting. It was Wuhan fighting. We're gonna keep on fighting.
No band support there. Great guys. Great guys.
What I was thinking about, I was wondering about North Korea. Well, Korea and North Korea, South Korea, North Korea, because that's where we are right now, 4:20. Well, you know, coming up on the end of their 4:20 hour here in North Korea and South Korea.
Kim Jong-bong.
It's one of the only countries on earth where they never signed into the drug war, the drug.
And he's missing too. Ever since we had the Wung Fong flu, the leader of South Korea has not been seen in public. He's too evil to die, so I know it's not that. He's probably being cloned or some shit, you know, whatever.
It's a good time to take that vacation on a satellite.
Could be.
You got to clone somebody that evil, damn it.
Petting a cat.
Don't let him go away.
Around the earth.
Reincarnate him. He's actually just Hitler. Just reincarnate.
Yeah, I don't understand people how can people like that look themselves in the mirror? That's the thing I can't comprehend. I have enough problems when, you know, I rip off the government 35 cents on my taxes, which I never did, so please no audits. But, you know, I don't know. I could never, like, kill people and, like, put their family in prison for 20 years because they farted wrong, and they go into my house and watch TV and look myself in the mirror and sleep good at night. I just don't understand how they do
it. Because they farted wrong, huh?
Right.
Did you fart to the left? Oh, gosh, that's 14%.
That's it. 20 years of life, put your kids in jail, put your grandmother in solitaire.
If you fart to the right, you get taxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is.
We had a protest at the United Nations a few years back, and the protest was a reincarnation of the coffee sniffers.
Excuse me.
Evidently, a couple hundred years ago, in Vienna, Austria, it was illegal to drink coffee, and they had guards that would mingle around the stores in the early morning and try to smell if you smelled like the offending coffee, and you get put
Oh.
aside. And these guys were very inventive. They dressed up like these guards from old, and they handed out little flyers that explained the whole protest and explained the history of the coffee sniffers, and they were sniffing at people as they were trying to enter into the UN.
Sounds familiar. That's
it was
exactly
great.
how they invoked the Misuse of Drugs and the Search and Surveillance Act here. I can smell cannabis and I'm going to search you.
The coffee sniffers. I love it.
That's how my dog greets other dogs, by sniffing them, right? Hello.
Yeah, but it's not to detect what substances he's on.
Yeah, well, when you said that coffee sniffers, I thought I was going to have to go to my Urban Dictionary and see if that was code for something.
It probably is.
It is now.
It is now.
I was thinking while I was having my dinner break, it's really appropriate Virginia Tech's normal when you consider the hemp history from Virginia State, or the state of Virginia, even before independence. It was a major hemp colony, wasn't it?
So something I never realized, and it's coming up on 4:01 a.m. here in Virginia. So in 20 minutes, it'll be 4:20 a.m. here in Virginia, and it'll be 4:20 p.m. in over there in Wuhan. That's an interesting fact there. Yeah.
Here's an interesting fact. I once hitchhiked to Virginia from Indiana, and I got there a lot faster than I guess normally considered. And when I finally got to my destination, we found out why I got picked up so often. I had misspelled the word Virginia. Did not realize it, but people knew I was heading there, and they wanted to help me get there as well.
Guys, I got some good news, guys. Like some real good news. We're actually going to be able to get through a whole performance.
If you're exactly opposite China and it's 4:20 a.m., does that mean that it would be absolutely real that if you dug a deep enough hole, you'd end up in China? Because Mum and Dad used to tell me that. Oh, you're going to dig your way through to China?
No,
well, Grandma used
it's on
to
the
talk
same
like
meridian, but it's not directly opposed on the globe.
Bugs Bunny did it.
But it's on the exact opposite of the planet, so...
And Bugs Bunny did it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And Voyage to the Middle of the Earth, or Around in the Earth in 80 Days, all of those movies, they're all real.
And I think Curly from Curly, Larry, and Moe made it through the Earth.
I think they did.
I think they did.
And if they didn't, then they should have.
Well, you know the joke that the last thing that the mosquito saw as it hit the windshield at 80 miles an hour was its butt.
Yeah.
So if a meteorite hits Earth and it hits right here in Virginia, the last thing I'll see will be someone from Wuhan.
Yeah, that's right.
I've always
That's
thought
right.
terminal velocity was the kind of impact.
Our live feed's working well, by the way.
Nice.
Keeping an eye on it. I've got it on my page. I've got it on the Dactory page. I'm sharing it around.
You spreading that propaganda about how good that marijuana is? Now, I told you about that devil rock and roll stuff. Now, shame on you. You're going to ruin our children.
Yep.
Hey, while we're still in Japan's 420, I want to say something about Japan.
Okay.
Japan at the United Nations has been a how do I describe them? Japan at the United Nations has been a force to be reckoned with, as part of the kind of enforcement mechanism of the treaty. They're the ones that are really pushing, along with China and Russia and others, to keep this drug control regimen, this drug war moving forward. But ironically enough, that specific action backfired on them. And we'll talk more about this, I'm sure, over this next 24 hours. But they started a process, Japan, back in 2009. They put in a resolution at the United Nations to try to outlaw cannabis seeds. The problem with trying to outlaw cannabis seeds is they've been exempt as hemp forever under the treaty. And it turned out to be a very big thing that they were asking for instead of just a simple thing they thought they were asking for. And what it started was a 10-year process, which we've just finished, where the World Health Organization has reviewed cannabis top to bottom, side to side, so that they would even review the notion of cannabis seeds. That was the whole thing. But what happened was, now we have the World Health Organization in favor of cannabis as a medicine. They've rebuked a lot of the most major tenets of the drug war. And with regard to cannabis, the record is being cleared right now from some of Anslinger's worst misinformation, all because Japan opened that box and tried to outlaw cannabis seeds. And I think it's funny, somehow Japan, being our big adversary and with their stern face and so serious, oh my God, they're so serious, but they accidentally did more for our cause than we ever did.
I like to think that maybe Jack Hare's right when he says the ganja goddess has a way of watching over herself. The ganja goddess has a way of protecting her plant. And I don't know about you, but anybody who's been around a plant like this in the garden, I think can relate. I've been around tomatoes, and I can walk by a bunch of tomato plants and not even know they're there. I've been around roses, and I've been around lilies and lilacs, and I can walk by them and even smell them in the air and not even notice them or realize them. I cannot walk by a cannabis plant without feeling its aura, its energy. I can almost sense its own spirit, its own being. When I've been in gardens with it and we've watered them, they've gone from being kind of wilty to standing up like they almost want to hug you and say thank you, we love you, thank you for giving us water and food. And when you sit among them, you can almost feel the positive vibration coming off of them, as if they're communing with you. Now, I've been on farms, and I've been around the world, and I've been around a lot of plants, and I can certainly tell you, when you see a cannabis plant once, anytime you just see it all by itself off in a distance, you spot it. When you walk by a cannabis plant and your back is to it, you feel some kind of energy that makes you just turn around and go, what? Oh, look, cannabis.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if that's just me, but I can honestly tell you, every time I walk by any cannabis plant, I honestly feel this aura, this energy, unlike any other plant.
People that are part of the cannabis culture that have passed all of the levels to get them to the alien stage. Oh, no, sorry, that's a different church. Sorry. But all of the different levels, they feel like you, right? That was a joke, just so that you know that you got to smoke a hell of a lot of weed to get aliens, okay? I just want to make that very clear.
Okay.
Watching me on a big screen TV, aliens are not part of cannabis.
Thank you.
They are
But
part of
no,
our
I'm
opposition.
just saying, it just feels that way. You know, it
The
just
only
feels like-
aliens that have part of cannabis are the aliens you allow into your country to grow your weed.
Thank you. Thank
The
you.
only aliens, okay?
But you do
know
understand what I mean when I feel like it's like an alien force, because it's just like,
I 100% agree with you. I was not mocking you. I was
No, I
trying
get
to
it.
make humor that might be seen to be international, or more importantly, might be celestial. There could be people on Mars right now are going, which means in Martian translation, that guy's bloody funny. All right? Could be. Could be.
Could be.
If
So
I keep this up, I might get a job around the world telling old man jokes. Woo! I'll be your favorite alien.
I'm not sure you realize how deep the rabbit hole goes on that joke, though. our opposition, Scientology. Isn't Scientology the
Oh, yeah,
one that has
I'm
the
familiar. I'm
higher
familiar.
levels, right? Right? Yeah.
I'm
If you
familiar.
won't pick a single greatest opposition to marijuana on planet Earth, Scientology would rank up there in the consideration. They really are they've been very passionate in their
Really?
anti-marijuana. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's
Really?
funny. It's so absurd for us to think about aliens in our belief system, but our opposition actually comes from that position. I think that's great. But hey, I've got some objective observation for you about that experience that you had, Casper, and it's a little hard to find an objective observation about that, but I think you'll agree with me that it is objective. I've got historical artifacts of pictures of folks standing next to hemp plants. Now, some of these artifacts are DEA or FBI or, what is it, Federal Narcotics Bureau, the Anslingers guys. Some of them are our guys, hemp activists and hemp growers. Some of them are early medical marijuana researchers and growers. Some of them are growers for the war effort and the Hemp for Victory. And this is, ranging hundreds of years and all these different people. And the one thing they all have in common? The same dopey smile on their face when they're standing next to that plant. Everybody has the exact same smile. You know what I'm saying? I love it.
It's the same dopey smile on my face. That's there all the time.
You didn't choose that logo for any other reason except it looks like a hemp is a smile.
It is. And
Yeah.
I want to let the world know it really is time for hemp in a way they would never forget it. And we come with peace. And peace is behind our whole message, peace and love. I know it's a corny cliche, but I have worked very hard to build this whole network on love. And every contract's been built on love. Every decision regarding this network, from the guest on to who's working on it to what direction we go, has always been built on love. And I figure if you put love first and just say to yourself, well, if love sat down at the table and looked me dead in the eye and said, look, Casper, here's what the hell we're going to do, what would love do? And if you work from that point of view, everything goes great.
The only time I've seen violence around cannabis in the years that I've been part of the cannabis culture have been if alcohol has been involved. Or the police are involved.
Right.
Police have the ability to conjure up resistance as they undertake an arrest.
But I get poked fun at for having that old school, outdated thinking that love's going to be the answer to everything. Well, it might not be the answer to everything, but it can certainly be the first place you look when looking for the answer to anything.
Yeah.
Well, on the idea of love, since we're coming up on 420 in 8 minutes in Wuhan, I think we should send love right directly across the planet to China and to everybody. Let me get back over to the map here.
I think that you are the right one. If you're doing a 4:20 a.m. while they're doing a 4:20 p.m., you should lead celebration at 4:20. You can call the time and we'll join in and support you.
There
Just
you
so
go.
you all
Afterwards,
know,
we can all go.
anybody that
We
just
can
tuned in.
we can go.
I do need to tell you that I cannot join you on camera. The police are observing my activities. I am under house arrest at the moment, and they're looking for any reason to put me in prison. So I'm not joining you on camera for any taking. You guys are legal, and my friend can breach bail, but I can't because they would lock me up at this point.
Well, then when you come back, we'll all do for the Chinese.
There you go. You just hold the fort. And it's not 4:20 yet. We've got plenty of time.
You got 7 minutes.
Yeah, no. I just wanted to make it clear so you understood where I was.
All right.
What was happening.
You can do a lot in 7 minutes. A rabbit can produce 5 kids in 7 minutes.
I got to cook some sausages.
Well, same thing.
I don't know what you call yours.
Oh no, I said a rabbit.
Sausages.
Oh,
I call that my dinner.
I said a rabbit can produce 5 babies in 7 minutes, and you said you were going to burn some sausages, and I said same thing.
There you go.
So this is the last time zone that we're in, right? Coming up at 4:20 in 6 minutes will be the last Australian time zone that we'll be in. The third and last of the Australian time zones. Here's a question for you, Casper. Which has more time zones, Africa continent or USA?
Africa.
Yep, by 1.
They're
This
just
is
a
fun.
little bit bigger than us.
Yeah, a little wider. I love it.
It's too bad we gave them back their land, right? What were
Gave
we
it back.
thinking to allow a people to be their own steward?
You know, you joke, but going across this part of the world, Russia and China and Japan have been some of the strongest adversaries, some of the strongest opponents, strongest proponents of marijuana prohibition. And yet right nearby them in some of the islands and some of the areas around the world where they've actually been using cannabis forever. I mean, forever. It's part of their traditional medicine. It's very dyslexic, it seems like, approach to have a country fighting their own history without even realizing it. And I can tell you, they don't realize it. They look at themselves as fighting crime and trying to.
You have to look at the pre-Christian history of that region of the world. You know, it was all shamanic paganism prior to the First Crusade that wiped them all out, replaced it all with Christianity.
And then all the killing of each other. I never understood how tribes could go over and kill more tribes, could go kill more tribes. You would think they'd walk over and go, hey, together we can make a better place. Let's work together. But no, I mean, how many genocides has the world heard about going on in that continent? And how many, anyway. But yeah, you're right.
Ultimately, the church has always considered herbology to be witchcraft.
We're almost at time, guys.
All right.
3 minutes.
8:16.
Three minutes on my clock.
I just point out to you that the next time zone includes Vietnam, and that might be something that Americans would like us to recognize as we come to the next time zone. But in the meantime, it's 8:17. I'll bring up the clock. 8:17 and a half. Looking good.
Well, you know, all around the world in the past, I mean, hundreds of people would get together and yay and cheer and music.
And that's what we're doing, isn't it? That is what we're doing.
We're trying, right, to bring this to your world, to bring that to your world, and have a little fun and goof around a little bit, bring a little joy and love. Please donate to organizations in your neck of the wood. No one's given any shout outs yet, but we are helping patients out of time with any sponsorship money.
2 minutes to go. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Well, I will say, Drug Reform Coordination Network, DRCNet, has been working really hard in the Philippines, which is in this time zone here. And the Philippines has been under almost a martial law with their president Duterte. Thousands of people killed in the street just because they were labeled as a drug user, drug dealer, or somehow connected to drug. You know, kind of like the worst blacklist you can imagine, where the police go down at shooting people in the street. So our heart goes out to the Philippines, and much love to the folks there fighting through that. And this guy is so out there that their response to COVID is more of the same. He's instructed their police to shoot people if they give him a hassle about COVID. Yeah, I read a hard article headline along those lines. So, you know, it's President Duterte. And it's just amazing to me how somebody like that could still be really popular. You know, the people of the Philippines generally like him still. I think a lot of people just don't believe how bad people say it might be. But the stories are real that you hear about what's going on in the Philippines. So our heart goes out to them. So here we got on 419. You got a second hand? I don't know if you got a second hand.
Yep, 30 seconds to go.
And we are blessed. We got to keep in mind we are blessed to be able to be alive and to do this, you know, and to be able to share like this on Zoom and still be together and to share time together. And right. So how blessed is that? There's a lot of people who don't have electricity or the ability to get onto the internet to even get a hold of an next door neighbor.
5 seconds.
And here we are being able to share love and good times and fun and laughter all around the world.
420.
Our love to Wuhan and all the
Thinking of you
folks on that side of the world.
and the Philippines. To all those innocent drug users, people as victims of vendettas.
Hong Kong and their fight with China.
Yeah, we think of you all.
One, two, one, two, one, two. One, two, one, two. Look, say, I let quarantine to see boo thing. Can't put earn with the team, my crew like Wu-Tang. Dollar bill, y'all for that new friend. Dollar bill, y'all for that no. I left quarantine to see boo thing. Can't fuck around with the team, my crew like Wu-Tang. Dollar bill, y'all cream my new friends. Hey, dollar bill, y'all for that no. Get to the bread, that's some olive oil. Sauce in the pot and it's got to boil. Cooking up something, I'm cooking you puppet. I'm whipping on some of this ratatouille. Naming a whole different category. Cover the shit is on Attaboy. Go get them tiger, eat rappers like I'm a tiger and they will just spit it to me. Carol Baskin, Robin, all of you niggas. I get to school, see the steps I'm making, try to follow you tripping. Let's take your shoes first. All I put up was like 5 little snippets. Made more than new merch. Exes rip my music, not like they crippin'. They got the blues hurt. I'm all in your head like some holy oil. I make it expensive like Charlie horse. I look at that brown and see nothing but pink like a baby shower when it's not a boy. Suffer back karma for. We finish my dick like almond joy. Wipe it up, walk away, don't even talk to me, baby. Blow job like she not employed. We ain't the same. Don't even get common call when it rain. What are you saying? I was finessing shows before I played them. Give me a break. Been out of work since like 2015. I made a way. My ring got paid by any means necessary. Compensate. Look, I left quarantine to see a boo thing. Can't fuck around with a team, my crew like Wu-Tang. Dollar bill, y'all, that my new phrase. Hey, dollar bill, y'all, for that no. I left quarantine to see your Wu-Tang. Can't fuck around with a team, my crew like Wu-Tang. Dollar bill, y'all, that's my new phrase. Hey, dollar bill, y'all, for that no. I let quarantine to see a boot thing. Can't fuck around with the team, I crew like Wu-Tang. Dollar bill, y'all cream my new fresh. Hey, dollar bill, y'all for that no. I left quarantine to see a boot thing. Can't fuck around with the team, I crew like Wu-Tang. Hey, dollar bill, y'all cream my new fresh. Hey, dollar bill, y'all for this no. Yeah, sing.
Feeling is alright.
Look, chillin' with the fam, rolling grams, we can talk about it. Live on cam with Cam, with the man, we just talking about it. Got them business plan with the fam, we can talk about it. Chillin' with the fam, rolling grams, we can talk about it.
With the fam, rolling grams, we can talk about it. Chillin' with the fam, rolling grams, we can talk about it. Chillin' with the fam, rolling grams, we can talk about it.
Lost my mind, lost my cool, got my fight. Lost control, that's my life. I feel the feeling is alright now. I don't listen to niggas when you wanna be left alone. You know what I'm missing when you don't give me God, I'm making it like I just feel it without
you gotta get it right.
Out to ego to man, but I always stay back and listen to both sides.
Listen to sides.
I make sure that my people know where it's sight. I be this in person like I'm when the money is no longer tight. It's never lie. Say all this other rich so sad.
Wow.
I don't like that self-respect. So I love self-respect.
Chillin' with the fam, rolling grams, we can talk about it. Got that business plan with the fam, we can talk about it. Chillin' with the fam, rolling grams, we can talk about it. Culture is live on the cam, let's talk about it. Make it talk about it, make it talk about it. Chillin' with the fam, rolling grams, we can talk about it. Make it talk about it, make it talk about it. Chillin' with the fam. And I'm live with a course, my life, of course, from all of the water I'm dripping in. See, wetter than rose in that door, Titanic, I'm jacking it, finna ice fishing shit. I got exes I bring up and mention in music, cause I know that I'm finna hit again. I got habits that I can control anymore, let you know what the fucking addiction is. Boy, I know that I'm chosen, I'm meant for this. I was humble but couldn't commit to it. I let niggas.
We be jamming, we be rocking, we be jamming.
Yep.
See, I may be old, but I can be as fly as the next guy. I can be as hip as you Betties and Barneys. Jeepers. Michael, are you there, or did your computer freeze? Oh, you moved. Okay, I wasn't sure.
I don't know, man. Just kind of lost in the moment here, man.
Lost in the moment. Jeepers. Martel, don't we have some guests coming on during this hour?
Let me see where we are here.
While we don't have a large international audience because of the time zones, I'd like to show you a 2-minute video that we made 9 years ago to support Mark Emery. And I'd like to show it to him when he comes on.
Okay.
All right. But if I play that to you now, I'll take the screen over. If I do that now, it's only 2 minutes long, but you'll see what happened was, it was May 2010, actually. So 10 years ago now. And we went to the American Embassy in Auckland, or the American Consulate in Auckland, to protest at United States, taking Mark Emery from Canada. And so we stood outside there and made it known that we weren't happy. And so I'll play that for you now. Here we go. Screen. No, not that one. What? Oh, there. Sorry. Here we go. Showing the way.
We're here today on behalf of Mark Emery, who's a political prisoner in the United States for the so-called crime of providing people with cannabis seeds. And we're in front of the American consulate because America is running the drug war. President Obama used to like a toke, and now he's keeping the same old shit going. Wake up, New Zealand. Don't be dictated. Don't be spot over. Don't be back down. Stand up for yourself. New Zealand green. It's green. It's here to stay. New Zealand green. Don't colour it out down our pleasure here in Auckland to make a lot of noise outside the American Embassy. So for you, Jody, waiting a good fight to free your husband, and to Mark, when you get to see this, we support you, brother. Show us the way around the world. I'm proud to stand here and speak for your freedom today. Free Mark Emery! Free Mark Emery! Free Mark Emery! Free Mark Emery! They got marijuana today? Yeah! Marijuana! Yes, I wanna! New Zealand green, all the way. There you go. Yeah, that was good.
There you go.
There you go.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
I'm a big fan of Mark's. Mark's took every penny that came into him and put it right back into the cannabis movement.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm well aware of this history.
But
I
our
hope-
audience isn't. Our audience isn't. I just kind of showed up.
Yeah, that was badass. Coming from a youngster, like the two videos that you played, and just how revolutionary of times I know they are. Like to be on like this whole situation with you guys it's mind blowing. It's only going to get more so as the evening goes on and the morning starts. This those are great videos. I need to get a copy of those so I can make some great content.
Well, then let me share this too, because Mark was a real pioneer. When he ordered Jack's books, it was against the law to have any cannabis books at all in Canada on the shelf. And when the first 5 cases that Mark ordered were shipped to Canada, 4 days later, they came right back to Jack's office, refused. We sent them again. Customs held them for a month and sent them back to us. We had to put them into little shoe boxes and send them like 3 books at a time by mail in order to get to them. Once he got them, he put them all up in his bookstore very proudly and very in your face. And Mark was the first guy in Canada to have a High Times magazine on his bookshelf. Jack's book, some of the other medical books that we talked about earlier. And then there was one that was an underground in Canada. So then Mark, anytime he got money, he put it into the cannabis movement there in Canada to build and make it grow. And then he also supported pro-cannabis candidates in America with the money that he raised from his seed company, which is what really pissed off the government in America about Mark Emery and his seed company. Because with his seed company, he raised enough money to fight the American politicians who were against cannabis. And that's why they extradited his ass down to... Now, Mark was on my show several times throughout that event. If anybody's interested in Mark Emery's history, you can go to the archives at timeforhemp.news and check out all the times that Mark Emery and Mark and Jody were guests, and there was many. And Mark would come on and talk about the lawyers and how they're fighting, how he's fighting the extradition, how he's fighting Parliament, who he's fighting in Parliament, who he's fighting in America, how he's just been taken, how he has to go, how he's leaving. You hear Jody then all by herself during a period of time, talking about how she has to go from Canada to America and back to see her husband. And then you hear about Mark coming back into America, and it all unfolds over a period of 2 or 3 years. And he came out and talked about it every step of the way on my show to let his audience know and my audience know how he was doing and what was going on. So anybody's interested in Mark Emery's history, oddly enough, his history and Eddie Lepp's history unfolded on the air on Time for Hemp. And it was quite an honor to walk alongside Mark Emery. It was like being in the same foxhole. That's what it is. We're in the same foxhole in this war. Nobody's competing against each other. Oh, I can't have my marijuana show on your network because we're competition. No, we're not. We're trying to end the war. We're trying to get the same message out. You have an audience that listen to you. I have an audience that listen to me.
I want to end this war so I can hate you.
Right.
Instead of having to like you because we're on the same side.
Right. And Mark Emery was always in the same foxhole with so many other activists. And every dime that came into his organization from the sale of his magazines, his seeds, anything, went to help changing the laws in Canada, changing the laws in America. Mark Emery lived in a very sparse apartment, had hardly a dime to his name, traveled by bus everywhere he went normally because every dime he got went to underwrite magazines, the cost of a politician, the cost of getting somebody out of jail, paying for medication, cannabis for people to get their cannabis. Mark Emery gave a lot of free marijuana away to a lot of sick people who couldn't afford to buy their medication because they were too poor and they needed to buy cannabis, and it was $400. Mark Emery bought it and gave a lot of people their medication. So Mark Emery is a hero on a lot of levels.
The name of his magazine,
Mark Emery free.
Oh, Cannabis
the
Culture
name
around
of
and
his
abused.
magazine got me thinking. Cannabis Culture was the name of his magazine.
Yep. And
it's what got me thinking about what it is that makes us different, and it is the cannabis culture.
it is. And his last
What
issue,
unites us, and he named his magazine perfectly.
Cannabis Culture. And
Cannabis Culture.
when he printed his last issue of his magazine, he signed a copy of it. Jody signed a copy of it. And two of the editors signed a copy of it. And they stuck it in an envelope and mailed it to me. And I've never opened up that envelope.
Oh, wow.
I have that still.
Wow. That's big.
Wow.
The sheet of acid in there is going stale.
I know, right?
But
Yeah,
I tell you
that
what,
acid's only got 10 years left on it.
you should pull that out. You should pull that out when Mark's on the show later.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's
have
probably
it.
a whole
I have it. No, I have it. I have it in safe storage. I would have to go and find it. No, I have that in safe storage.
That's all right. We can wait. We've got 24 hours.
I would say that's one of my valuables. That's something that I treasure. Somebody else might not understand why I would treasure this unless they knew the movement, but I treasure that
Well,
because Mark and Jody were grateful enough for me having them on and giving them a mouthpiece on Time for Hemp, and I was grateful for them paying attention to my hard work. So it was a mutual admiration, and we were both in the same foxhole, and we grew together. And I have nothing but love and admiration for Mark Emery and Jody, and I can honestly say with pride, they too feel the same for me. We are so family. So I'm so blessed to have met so many wonderful people in this movement that I can't tell you that my world has been so blessed by the number of people who I've just been touched by and felt so much love. And Mark Emery and Jody Emery are two people who I have experienced a lot of friendship and love with, and I'm so blessed to count them as part of my family.
I've been involved in this campaign for more than 20 years. And when I joined the campaign, I was introduced, not literally, but his name, to Mark Emery. He was a stalwart of the movement. He supported Normal in New Zealand long before I became involved. So he is a giant amongst campaigners around the world, and we all suffered his loss, the loss of America taking him. I still can't believe that. So I'm more pleased about him joining us later than perhaps anybody else, because he's been an inspiration for many people around the world.
And I know Mike feels that way too. Mike's got a couple of Mark Emery stories, don't you, Mike?
Oh, Mark Emery is one of my favorite people in the movement. You know, it's interesting, the contrast. You know, you got you got Mark. He's such he's really a sweet guy, and to think of all the machines of war going after him, the United States government taking all its machinery of indictment, it really going to war. They really battled to bring Mark Emery and put him in custody in the United States. It was a real sad moment. But just thinking about like the long timeline, you know, I don't know if it's sacrilegious to say it or whatever, but it just jumped to my mind. The president South Africa that went from prison to being president, right? Mandela, Nelson Mandela. And, it's just an amazing contrast. Here is Mark Emery right now, if you wanted to. It's kind of late still. It's only the sun's just coming up where Mark lives. No, actually not yet. He's on the other side, isn't he? Yeah. So he's got a couple more 3 or 4 hours before the sun comes up where Mark is.
But we are being joined by Ben Dronkers.
Oh, beautiful.
Surprise!
Top of the hour. I remember I said that Ben was one of the first champions of Time for Hemp, when he called in to talk to Jack Hare back in 1990, and I answered the phone while Jack was on the road. And I told him I was Jack's new assistant, and I was doing this little TV show called Time for Hemp. The first thing, after I said to him I was looking for sponsors, Ben Dronkers was a sponsor right there on the spot. And then he got copies of the 3/4-inch tape and showed it in his hemp museum, so it became a international success. And Ben Dronkers has been a champion of my hard work since I started working at Jack Hare's office. And Ben Dronkers, I love you. Thank you for all the years you've been with me, supported me, and stood by me, stood by Jack, stood by so many other people in the cannabis movement. You have supported so many people in the movement. Because of you, laws have been changed, organizations have been started, activists have been able to get to the front lines and fight this fight. And Ben Dronkers, you are now even preserving history of this cannabis movement. And you are, from my point of view and the point of view of so many, a giant, a towering giant. And to have you on this broadcast is an amazing honor. Thank you, sir, for being
here. Cheers for Ben. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray. Hip, hip, hooray.
You can't lead a cheer when you're not on camera.
But you are, Ben. You are one of my true heroes.
There you go. Now you can lead a cheer.
3 cheers for Ben. Hip, hip.
Hooray.
Hip, hip.
Hey.
Hip, hip.
Hey.
Nice to meet you, Ben.
I've never done that before.
Nice
How you
to
doing,
meet
Ben?
What time?
All of you,
What time is it where you're at, Ben? What time is it where you're at? Let me see. Yeah, 4. Yeah, so you're in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm in Malaysia.
What's it like there in Malaysia? What's going on there in the world around you?
Well, the same shit like everybody. It's a lockdown. But I'm near the sea. I have a garden. My girlfriend is here. I have a good smoke. My medical, that's legal here, and it's okay. What to do. It's funny times. It's crazy times now, right? But we're still growing, and we're selling a lot of CBD with hemp flags. Sensi seeds doing crazy. It's like everybody starts growing again. That's really good because nearly 60, 70 people are sitting at home, and still the salary going on and everything. But we managed, so we're lucky. Hemp, at least hemp saved the world, but at least it saves hemp flags and Sensi seed until now. Let's hope we keep it like that, because it's a hard time. And I'm happy that so many people have benefit with cannabis and with CBD now. That's great.
I agree with you, Ben.
Yeah, and
I agree with you. When our Prime Minister declared that our country was going to lock down for 4 weeks, I requested that she reconsider and make it 9 weeks so that we had enough time to put a crop in.
Yeah,
and harvest it and give us something useful to do during the time we're locked in our houses. And that we would fill every empty bedroom in the country. And when we came out of lockdown, we would be able to share our medicine to the whole population and everybody would be happy.
Yeah.
But she didn't respond positively.
No? Oh, fuck. Yeah.
But it's a thought, though, isn't it? Think of all the weed that could have been growing internationally during this lockdown.
Yeah. That's true. Well, you
So
know,
we-
as long as people standing up to grow, you know, this. I think it was Lester Greenspoon who said the cat is out of the bag. You know, they cannot put us back again.
No, you
It's here
can't.
but so many people growing now and smoking now, and even that in Amsterdam, all the coffee shops are open. In that sense, that for a takeaway, you cannot sit there, but it is essential to buy weed. You know, so the government recognized that coffee shops are needed in Holland. So the coffee shops all over Holland are allowed to sell grass and hash, but you cannot sit inside, you cannot drink the coffee, so just take away. Well, that's a good step. I wasn't expecting that, but it's good. They accept it. So how to
Discussing how to get
turn
that
it around
happening.
again?
Yeah.
pretty
And
awesome.
Michael, I didn't hear much of your accomplishments. What you did in Brussels was amazing, and I'm happy. Sorry, we sponsored only a little because we sponsor so much, man. It's crazy.
Well, first of all, let me say, we didn't realize, at least I didn't realize until just now, you have the same 4:20 afternoon where you are in Malaysia as we have 4:20 in the morning here in Virginia, quite literally on the other side of the planet.
There you go. That's exactly right. So we were thinking of you. We were thinking of you because as we work our way around the world, our next time zone is the one beyond you. It'll be Cambodia, Vietnam, or that narrow area. There's not many countries in the next time zone, but that's probably enough if we talk about Cambodia and Vietnam and Thailand, Laos. So
And I have a question here. You have done a lot in your path. By the time you were calling Jack's office in 1990, you had done a lot. You were supporting Jack's book then. You'd already had a successful seed company and was very ingrained in the cannabis movement. And you've got a couple of museums and you've done strains. There's a lot of wonderful things you have done in this movement. Of all the wonderful things you've managed to pull together, make happen, pull out of thin air, just like magic, what is the one thing that you turn around and look back at and go, damn, I did that right?
Probably the hemp. You know, we started 25 years ago with hemp flags, and it was we lost money for 23 years, 24 years. I just put the money where my mouth was, and I believed in it. And then CBD came, and CBD really made it happen. We you know, this all our fiber what we make with hemp. We do about 6,000 acres every year, and that we do that for a long time, and we balance, you know, what we sell, what we grow. On this moment, the automotive industry is down, so our fiber sales are down, but the CBD sales are up. And we just hope that CBD stays legal now, because that's the big question. If not, then we're going to the drain again. But we manage, you know, as long as I could pay it from the seeds we sold with Sensi seeds, it was great. And the museums, yeah, Amsterdam made money, and then I started Barcelona because it's a beautiful building and it's beautiful
Absolutely.
city. And I like it, and you know, all the collection that I did that's also what I look back at it, you know, I think, wow, where did I get all that stuff from, you know, all these years. And it's beautiful. It's nice to see people enjoying it, and you know, everybody go in it, they learn something. Everybody, and that is the good thing about it. And that is it changed a lot of people's mind when they, you know, sometimes I stay there and I just sit in the museum and listening to the people, what they talk, you know, what they say about it. And then it is surprisingly, like in Barcelona, it was surprisingly that it's a beautiful building. It's a modernista building. I did renovation for 9 years there before we could open it. It was in a bad shape. And
Wow.
it. But I sit there, and then all the people come and they look around, and I say, I think they come for the building, you know, they come for the mosaic floors and the stained glass, you know, and all
Well,
these
I've seen
things. And then
photographs. I can see why. It's stunning.
yeah, but you know, these people, what they say, you know, we come for the collection because when we were children, we also grow hemp there in this area, you know, in Catalonia. And so they know hemp also from when they were kids. And that is really wow, you know. And then I got some collector's items. I got this one zapata, you know, how you call it, zapata, one the shoe. But a very old one from 18 something, I don't know, and a very big one because it was an advertisement shoe. So it was half a meter long or what, you know. And it's beautiful. It's nice to, yeah, everything what I did, I was lucky, and I think the spirit of the plants guide me. And it's, I'm not religious, spiritual, okay, you know, but yeah, I feel really a bond with this plant, and I came out. And sometimes I dream about it, you know.
Yeah.
And it is nice. Nice now. I do some lectures. I did some lectures in Japan, and in Malaysia. I talked to the government. The government are interested to open up. Also, my son Alan is in Thailand. He lived there already for 15 years. Also, he's with the government and with people of universities busy growing varieties and stuff, and he gives lectures there. That is nice. So, you know, I'm a bit, I was tired, you know, especially after the opening of the Barcelona Museum. I worked so hard, 2 years. I was really, I had a sort of a burnout, and I take it easy. And now I'm still have to run my companies, even I'm here. My manager is doing a great job, Amplex and Sensi Seeds and everything, the museums. But you still have to, I'm still working in that sense, you know, I still try to show the way in a way,
Yeah.
but most of it they already.
Well, another question too is in Canada and soon here in America, these companies involved in cannabis, seed production, food production, etc., end up somehow, some ways, on the stock market where people can invest and buy stock and all that groovy stuff. Is that type of avenue being available to the businesses there in your neck of the woods?
Yes, Hempflex, we had the plan to go to the stock market because of the Corona shit is it's postponed. There's also some companies interested in working together with us or buying shares and all this shit. And you know, the thing is that I sometimes have to disappoint people when they say, yeah, we grow hemp. And what I learned is that the only way to grow hemp is industrial. You have to do it industrial. And I put a lot of money, you know, we put a lot of money in it. And we got 2 running factories, one in Romania and one in Holland, right?
Right.
And but it's still not enough. It is still, you need so much investment that you can only do it on an industrial scale. You can grow 100 acres for your own food, you know, for your own seeds. Great. You can, for a small community, you can grow seeds as food. Great. But to feed the world and the rest, you know, because omega-3 and 6, what you only find in fish. I live on the seaside here. The local people go fishing and they come back with, you know, tiny fish and no fish. You know? So the food is one of the most important thing I think that comes out of hemp in the future. And of course, with the medicine, it's altogether, it's the magical plant like Jack and I agreed already a long time ago, right? If you just look at the past, you see the future. It is so crazy why they make it forbidden once, you know, it's so crazy.
And that reminds me, we've been doing a lot of stories about Jack this evening and how much he has been a factor in our path in life, and sharing some fun stories, funny stories, personal stories. I don't know if you have a story about Jack here that you would like to add to the atmosphere.
Well, you know, he was a close friend of mine, and the first time I met him, he came to my house in Rotterdam. I still live in Rotterdam that time. And actually, I just posted because I had a small camera, put it on the table, and I just let him talk. And he jumped, bah, 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 bah. And so great it is. You should see it. I will post it again. And it is that's Jack, you know. And also when we have this big party in the Cannabis Castle, you know, with all the high times people there and everybody, and we have this new strain. And I talked to him before, of course, that if he would like it, then put his name on the new strain, and he loved it. And so we sold a lot of Jack Harris strains, right, and seeds. And on a certain moment, he come back to home. He was coming back. He say, "Ben, shit." He say, "So many people when you're Jack Harris, from the strain." He said, "Fuck no, from the book." The book, what book? But then he said, all together, so a lot of people think Jack Harris is the guy from the strain, you know.
Yeah. Oh man.
But how many million, you know, many million of people have got the book, right? Read the book. We sold a lot, and I gave a lot of away, you know. It's also on people in government and agricultural departments and stuff like that. But it was great. The sad story was that at the end, you know, he was still in Amsterdam one time on stage, and I presented him. I was supposed to present him, but since he had his stroke already before, he couldn't talk so good, and it was a little bit sad, you know. We made it, but I love the guy.
That's funny. Whenever a while back, I had a question for you. I've been hanging out with a lot of these just legends so far in this industry. And, you know, when we spoke last week, I told you how much I appreciated you and everything you did for the movement. And my question has been this, because I've seen the majority of these activists that have been doing this for 30 years, I think I mentioned last week, have not really been able to capture the monetization aspect of it, right? Whereas, and the ones that have really been philanthropic about giving back, right? They've been giving back so much of what they've amassed because it's a loving plant, right? And so what do you think would say, what do you think is to get over the hump, or why do you think a lot of these veterans were able to miss that and miss that capitalization opportunity? What made you stick out in there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope my line is okay. You hear me?
His question, to paraphrase, is so many people in the cannabis movement have difficulties being able to monetize their product or their organization, and you have been very successful on many different levels with Seeds, your museum, and all the other projects that you've been. What have you learned that makes it so possible for people to be drawn to you that might help people who are listening to emulate?
Well, you know, you should not forget, I go to jail many times. I was arrested a crazy amount of times. So it was also my stubbornness, and I was lucky that I found a loophole in the law. I can grow seeds legal, and I can sell them legal. So that's why I opened the first seed shop, I think, in the world, in Amsterdam that time. And so many Americans came, right? Also with the Cannabis Cup that we started it. Ed Rosenthal and me started the first High Time Cup in Rotterdam, not in Amsterdam, but I had a small restaurant that time. But we also lucky that the law in Holland, you know, we had already the coffee shops. So it was already more lenient than the United States or other countries, right? So that was also one of my lucky things. And then when I started Hemp, that is, you know, Sensi Seeds exists now 35 years, I think, and Hemp Flags 25. So when I started Hemp, I got arrested also a few times, and they didn't want to let me grow hemp, but it was totally legal, you know. But nobody grew hemp since the Second World War. So when I started hemp again, they didn't like it, you know, and they say, "Oh, there's going to be a weed factory, you know, not a hemp factory." So it took a long time, but now they cannot get away from it anymore. They understand also it's a very high, the bloody government and all these people, they're talking about sustainability and agriculture, and we have to go away from the plastic industry. I can give you an example, man, you don't believe it. We got a hemp factory in the north of Holland. 30 kilometers away from us is a big electric company, how we call it. they burn coal and make electricity. So they make one there that burns wood. So they import wood now on this moment from America, from Canada, from ancient forests. They cut it, shred it, dry it, pelletize it, and send it to Holland to burn it. And I try to figure out how much does it cost? Because hemp costs about €200 a ton, $225 a ton, I think, something like that, from the farmer. So how much do they pay for this amazing, stupid thing to cut an ancient forest that is really ancient and it's very, very old, and they cut it and shred it and burn it, and it is totally crazy, and they call it green energy, and they talk about sustainability again. And then how can they do it? Because they got so much subsidies, billions of subsidies. And how the fuck is hemp not there, And I'm talking to journalists and everything. It was on the television, the whole program. Everybody know it. And nobody comes with hemp. Nobody say, hey, we can do this with hemp also. And it is, they call it the bio electricity companies or what, I don't know. But they're building a few of them. And the other thing was that they started also to burn corn. So, and they have a biogas installation, they make gas, and they started to burn, to put food in it, and that is totally insane. So there is something that I still believe that they still don't want hemp. They still don't want hemp. And there was a reason when they started it, and there is still a reason on this moment, I don't understand. And maybe the corona is going to change this all. Maybe, I hope, maybe this is the thing that the world needed to see, hey, we have to go sustainable. We have to stop with the fucking plastic. We can make plastic from hemp. We can make, instead of cotton and instead of all these insecticides and pesticides, no insecticide, pesticides on hemp. So
No
what
kidding.
the fuck?
I mean, that was another thing that blew my mind when Jack Hare taught me that. The only thing you need to do is grow it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and we had a lot of chicken and pig shit, because we have so many chicken and pigs in Holland. They didn't know what to go with it, so we use it as a fertilizer.
Corn uses up 80%. Corn uses up 80% of the world's pesticides. Just corn and cotton.
And the water, the same thing, especially in Turkey, Egypt. They have a lot of problems there. And the soil is going totally fucked. No more insects. So we have to, come on, man. We were just the starting point, no? And at that time, when we said hemp is beneficial, people thought you were crazy, you just want to smoke. That's the only thing you want. No, hemp is there. Right. And that's you should remember, I started Hemp Flex, and we have no idea what to do with it. We didn't know what to do with it. I grew hemp, and what to do with it, we didn't know. I have no idea. So lucky we find out that it was suitable for horse bedding. So at least we could sell the herd, the sheaves, and that's, for the rest, we couldn't do nothing with it. We have no idea. And then I stack it up, and finally, they all thought we were gonna smoke it. And finally, I sold it to a Turkish. I sold it to 1,500 tons. That's a lot, big ship full of hemp. Went to Turkey, and they made cigarette paper out of it. So they smoked it. All this hemp fiber was smoked. And what is the fucking difference? Well, if you smoke the herb, you don't get cancer. If you smoke cigarettes with hemp paper, you still get cancer. Probably. I'm a smoker, but what the hell,
That's the pivot. Alfria went and bought out most of these cigarette companies have pivoted now to hemp and CBD, and that's kind of where I'm at in the industry. So I wanted to ask you, based on what you said, I feel like they keep giving us a little bit of rope, and then drawing us back a little bit, right? Like with the FDA, they gave us, we got the Farm Bill passed, and then we had legislation for most states. They gave us a little bit of rope, and now they've kind of fallen back again, right? Like they haven't been active in any scientific studies. They're not making anything aggressive. They just keep on giving us a little bit. We'll get a state or two here. And I feel like it's been getting road like that since you guys were back active, being activists, just give us a little bit to keep us pacified. Do you feel like that? Or do you feel like they're making moves?
No, they don't make moves. They drain it. They drain it. They drain everything, because they also came with a new law in Holland to make the coffee shops only sell weed that is made by the government or companies working with the government. And also they're not going to do that now. So they make experiments, what is an experiment that only can fail, but they're still trying to do it. And now they postpone it again. Are you still there?
Yes, Jack Hare always said that they would legalize it as soon as they could find a way to make money off of it. And until then, the government would keep it outlawed. And it's true. Tax, new law. Now, government can't wait to make it legal. They patent it. They got these medicines. They got laws that insist that you buy their stuff. It's inspected by their people, and you pay their taxes. And you even buy a license. You buy a license just to grow it. You buy a license to sell it. And you buy a license to buy it. No, seriously. You buy a license to grow it, a license to sell it, and then some states you got to buy a license to buy it. I mean, talk about tax bitch. Well, now they're all having a hard on. Let's make it legal.
Yeah, stupid.
Get me off my soapbox, I'm sorry. But Jack Hare said that when the day came that politicians could figure out how they could get their fingers into that pie, watch out. Not only will it be legal, you won't even own it. And boy, was he right.
Well, the thing is, if you look, I don't know how now in the States, it's so different, but in Holland, we have a lot of people growing, right? And now it's more and more criminals growing it than the normal people, because they are scared, the law-abiding people, actually. But I remember that there was no coffee shop in Rotterdam, and I started that, stubborn as I was, no coffee shop. And of course, the police came right away. And but the funny thing was, they make photos in the newspaper of my coffee shop, and they say exactly the address, and I had to comment, I open tomorrow again. So the next day, there was a big line of people in front of the door. So the police didn't come. They came in the nighttime again, they arrest me again, and they arrest me many times, but I opened again and arrest me again. And then I was on a certain moment, I was in the police station. I know they come again, and most of the time they get me with a couple of maybe 500 gram or what, half a kilo, maybe 1 kilo. And I said to all my friends, I give them all 100 grams, and I say, when they bust me again, you all come to the police station and report yourself. I was in jail, and the next day, this detective come to me. He said, "Ben, fuck, what do you do? There's about 15 people out here with 100 gram. They report themselves. We send them out. We have to push them out. So you have to go." Oh man! So that is what's supposed to be done. Listen, I live in a beautiful country here on the moment in Malaysia. It's very nice people. And the crazy thing is that I can say it in public because it's the truth. A lot of people smoke. And I met high officials, high people, nice people from the government. And when they hear, hey, you're from Amsterdam. The coffee shops. They know it. They study in England or they study in Germany or where. And they came over to Amsterdam to smoke. And they were all smokers in that time. And many of them, they still smoke, and that is the crazy thing about it. And then you know, in the news, what we always hear, Malaysia is very, very tough and hanging on this and this, but they're nice people. They're very friendly people, and they also on a convention, and there was many doctors, about 150 doctors there. And two of them that just publicly say, yes, we smuggle grass from Thailand to Malaysia, we make oil and sell it to our patients publicly, you know. So that is what we need. We have to stand up, you know, and that is what is amazing in a country like Malaysia, that people really stand up. And that is the same thing that we did in Holland, stand up, and with the growing, we stand up. And, you know, even they bust 1,000 people a year or more for growing, small growers. It's stupid. It's a waste of time of the police force and anything. And the other thing that really bothered me also so much is that all the coffee shops sell hash, right? And, you know, for my seeds, I went many times to Afghanistan, Pakistan, and all the places, and especially in Afghanistan. They have such a good hash there. It's amazing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They sell it for $200-300 a kilo to end up in Amsterdam through the coffee shop to a price from 18,000 euro or dollar, whatever you say. So why can we not have a fair trade with Afghanistan to buy good hash, and Morocco, Lebanon, good hash, Lebanese, fair trade, and we pay 2,000 a kilo instead, you know, and then we can enjoy the stuff, because hash is same thing. It's beautiful stuff. It's great, and that could be changing the world, you know, in a much better way. It's not oil, but it is, you know, it is quite a lot of hash they can sell from Afghanistan. I'm sure the quality is so good, you know, you'll love it. You will love it. So
well, that was one thing that did knock my socks off. When I was in Amsterdam in the military, I got to enjoy it. And I also experienced in Europe. I could never understand how it was they didn't have such good cannabis to smoke. But by golly, their hash knock you on your butt. And you can put it on a little needle, put a glass over it, light it up, and just take a glass full. Because have a glass full of hash, and that's all you needed for the night. I mean, you can smoke the marijuana all night long and get a half-ass buzz. But you can smoke one glass full of hash and be buzzed all night. And a happy buzz, a good buzz, a fun buzz.
Yeah. I don't think we have any middle level here, you know? Like with CBD right now, people, you know, I know what it's grown for because I grow it. And then, you know, the middleman, they come out and they get a 30% markup, if that, and then they charge the public 80%, 90% on top of it, you know? It's a ridiculous market. Everybody's trying to get rich, and that's when you start getting that greed, and that's what's really taken away from the love, you know? Greed's the exact opposite of, you know, love.
Well, that is a problem with CBD also in Europe, because, you know, I can say we have a very nice quality of full extract CBD, very nice. The price is quite reasonable, I think. And then some journalists did some testing that bought in from the internet about 12 different varieties, and there was so much shit in it. There was with too much THC in it. People go crazy and go to the hospital in panic. There was totally no CBD in it, you know, and they sold it for very expensive. So some sort of, I don't mean license, but some sort of regulation, some sort of, you know, when you buy food, you want to know what's in it, and it should be there. What they say is in it, it should be there. So that's why there should be some sort of, you know, the black market is okay for me, you know, I don't give a shit. I always was there, but you need quality control.
Very much so. I just won the award for best CBD in Dallas here, right? And it's strictly because I only do seed to sale. Like, you want to know, like a farmer's market, when you go buy your vegetables, you want to know where you got your stuff at. You want a little story about your tomato that you're going to make that night. You know, what crop it was grown in and how many days ago it was picked and how you should slice it to make it peel just right. You know, you want all that stuff. And that's what they kind of get when they come to my store. But it's more about the service and the education, all that put together, you know, is a thing. And people just, they're not sexy with it. Nobody's courting anybody, you know, like they're trying to take them out to a movie and slam them, you know, nobody's even buying anybody dinner. You know, it's like people just want to know how they can feel good and feel well, especially the clientele and the demographic that we deal with. And it's all over the industry. It's on the corporate backside. It's on the retail side. It's everywhere. If we could just get rid of that middle, that polarization, we'd be way better off, you know, but it's still the suits at the top end making that greed, you know, if they present it, then it's going to be there.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure Ben's heard some of the stories here in America where, like in Oregon or in Arizona, to get a cannabis license to grow or to have a dispensary, you got to shell out like $70,000, and then there's only so many licenses, and if they don't pick you, you do not get your money back. So you've got to have 70 grand just to piss in the wind and cross your fingers to hope to get a license, and that's just the start of the game, right, Ben?
Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely like that. And you know, another thing bothering me a bit, you know, there is also CBD, and probably in the future there will be grass and hash from all over the world. There is also CBD from China, and we got some biological CBD, you know, we call it. And the rules and regulations to grow biological is amazing in Europe. You have to leave your land for 3 years with nothing, and then you have to grow biological, but also the fertilizer have to be biological. How do you get that? You know, it's a very hard, it's not there. It's bloody expensive. But biological from China or even from Canada can be any fertilizer. Only in Europe it has to be organic fertilizer. You know, it's crazy. So to make it organic and biological, it's important. And then the funny thing is, I can tell you honestly that like in Romania, we have some biological, ecological land, and we tested it, and we tested other land, and even in the ecological land, there were more packs, you know, bad things than in the normal land. So there's nothing to say, because the whole agricultural world is ruined actually already. There's so much shit in the ground everywhere, you know, especially in Europe, I think, but more in China and more in other places. Lucky we have quite nice land now in Romania, so we focus on there. Germany also, we still have some nice land, but it is and in food grade, you're talking, you want to have good food, right? You want to have nice food, but then you have to make it for so many people, because we are still a handful of people, you know, that use now CBD or hemp seeds as food. So when it has to change to the whole world, you understand then it has to be, you know, industrial.
Well, now I've also seen large farms that are indoor grow farms, but I mean large 40 acre, 50 acre, where the whole thing is like indoors. Yes. And now, is that the wave of the future? Is that the smart way to grow now? Is that what's going to be tomorrow?
Well, Canopy already lost how much was it? 8,000 square meters, or I forgot. They lost the whole greenhouse because of fungus, right? So it's no, I see like I see this indoor growing in Japan, you know, with robots. It's amazing, you know. It's so new technology, and this thing will, of course, will come. On the other hand, if you just look at our natural stuff, the plant you grow in your garden is just as good, you know. So everybody should be able to grow something in his own garden, because, you know, I'm living here in Malaysia, and you have a big, but in America also we have a lot of poor people. You know, they cannot afford these CBD prices. They cannot afford the
no, you're right. It's pretty steep sometimes.
The coffee shops or the dispensary. So they can, you know, they should grow and then stand up, fuck off. And, you know, if there's so many people grow their own, how many they want to lock up? They don't do that anymore. I think we won. Only it takes time to understand for everybody.
So what do you think the future is going to be now for cannabis hemp? You think we're going to start seeing more clothing, more foods, more hempcrete, more houses built from, more cars built out of?
For sure, the hempcrete is also a beautiful product. It's fantastic, and it will come. The rest of the industry, we should understand that textile is a very complicated story, and we're still looking for the right way to cottonize hemp. There are some enzymes, they say, here and there, and the only hemp textile what is on the moment is there, what I know, is from China, and something they experiment also in America. We sent a few containers of fiber to America, we sent containers to India, and they have also some enzymes, and people are still working on the right procedure to do it, because it is costly to cottonize.
420 people.
I'm sorry?
It's 420 p.m.
in Cambodia and Vietnam.
Happy 420. Hit your pipe.
No
matter what you're doing at 420, you got to hit it.
Cheers.
Hey.
It's an honor, Ben, to share this 420 moment with you and all my other friends on the screen.
Nice. Okay.
So
take care.
As you were saying, Mr. Dronkers, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, you guys. Doing good.
You were talking
Cheers.
about the hemp industry and the possibility of hemp plastics and hemp foods coming.
Yeah, feel free to continue.
Yeah, you got it, right?
Continue. Feel free.
No, I thought you finished with me or not?
No. We're just
420, and at 420, what we do at 420, right?
I thought you had new guests coming.
Oh no!
Yeah.
It's just,
well, we have no new guests for Laos or Cambodia.
And so that's why I said, do you see a future for all the hemp products that this plant can make, that so that more farmers can be growing this, and we can have more, more jobs? It's hemp. I saw some guy do a whole airplane out of hemp plastic, and that BMWs. Is that going to be more so, or do you think we're?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure the airplane is real, because somebody say it's a hoax. But cars are made already, right? The Lotus Eco is made out of it, and probably they're gonna do more. I don't know. We do also injection molding. We're working on, we make the mats for the hemp fiber for cars and stuff. But we do that already 15 years or what. Huh? That is in Mercedes, BMW, Jaguar, even the Bugatti Veyron got fiber from hemp flax in it, and that is really amazing. This is crazy when I think of it. BMW also. And so, but now the car industry going down, I don't know. It's it is the same with what happened when grass get illegal. They had so many contracts buying forests. They didn't want hemp paper, because they had so much investment, and it is the steel industry, the aluminium industry, all these big industries that invested so much. So now they're falling down in a way, but the factories are still there. So they will not give it up so easily. So we have to come slowly from the ground. I think it is, and when people ask me, many people ask me, I want to do hemp, we're gonna do hemp. Okay, how much? Yeah, we start with 500 acre, right? Okay, and how much money you're gonna spend? Yeah, we got 50,000, and maybe I can another 150,000. And I said, don't do it, because you don't know what to do with it either. And that is, I told a few people that, and most of them didn't listen. You hear the stories now. They cannot do nothing with the hemp because they don't know what to do. Well, they should do some hempcrete. That's the only thing what I can imagine now. They can do the seeds, but most of them they didn't do the seeds either. So it is not the time yet for farmers to jump in or to think, hey, we can do all these things. You cannot, and then you need we still supply the industry with our fibers, and the only thing we sell directly is the horse bedding and cat litter, the little one, the wood chips,
All right.
for the end of CBD. But it is not easy. You have to. That's why we also, or we go to the stock market, or we have some other ideas which joining other companies or what, because you need this kind of investments. Yes.
I would like to ask you a question, Ben.
Yes.
The way things are with the world in lockdown, there are a lot of people thinking about, do we need to go back to the old ways when we come out of this pandemic, or are there better ways of living? And it occurs to me that hemp has the best opportunity that it could ever have for many, many years. And I'm not talking about the smoking, the consuming of cannabis. I'm talking about the hemp, the THC-less hemp, the fiber. That surely has to have the opportunity, because people want to live differently. Would you agree?
I totally agree, but the point is, like when I'm getting out of my lockdown, anybody here or around you, they will step in the same car, they put on the same air conditioning, and they take the same electricity bill, and they use the same amount of water. So you cannot change the world in one day. It's not going to happen. They all go back to their own life again. The factories are still open, they still have to run. And that's it. The big change is not. We live in an industrialized world, international world. Most of our products come from China, and they're still the cheapest, and they're still the fastest and the most hardworking people we know, and good people, I think. No politics shit. We just people of the world, everybody. So to change that, to make it again to a local, buy America or buy Holland first, but Holland is also one of the biggest exporters of vegetables and fruits and stuff. So we are big exporters of cheese and meat and all this shit, So you cannot, our economy is based on this capitalistic society in where the firms, the business, like even hemp flags, if we don't get bigger, we're not going to make it. You have to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is an insane situation. The only thing, the difference with hemp is that what I know, what I learned, you need the territory, That's we say in our factory, we can work with farmers about maximum 50 kilometers abroad, away from the factory. If it is 80 kilometers, it's already too much. To sell your product, you can do that about 200 kilometers around you, the wood shifts, for example. So you have some sort of, how you say it, you have to grow, but you have to get it into this society where you live. And if you don't have a car industry like we have, luckily, just over the border in Germany, there's a lot of car industry. So we can sell fiber there. Maybe you're lucky there, but the thing is also that in America, this car automotive industry doesn't use it yet. So they're not going to use it yet, because they still have to change the machinery, they have to change the whole thing. So it only will go to what I think, I'm afraid of, is step by step. And small farm communities, they should think about, the only thing they can think about is seeds, food, very healthy, beautiful food, the best you can eat, and the oil, of course, and then the hempcrete. And that's for the moment, you can, around you can sell it. You can make the money of the effort you put into it.
All right. Well, then it also sounds like if you're living in a state where you can have recreational cannabis and medical cannabis, that this would be a good time to go in that direction, that there's going to be more avenues for businesses to succeed doing medical cannabis and recreational cannabis these next few years. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
So I wasn't sure, being locked down and not being able to get it around the world now, move it, if that's going to be a problem to the industry, or if things are getting so that we're growing to the point where it's going to be a financial success.
It can be it can be a financial success for like cooperatives, you know, like you have a group of farmers who together do it. That is what we do in Holland. We got not a farmer who gives us big plots. No, they give us all quite reasonably small plots, because that is also concerning the subsidy they get. But if you have this plot together, then you still have this enough for us, you know. I mean, if you're talking about potatoes, they have 60,000 hectares or what, you know, and we have 6,000, you know, and it is we quite small actually. I mean, even if we have 3,000 because it's in 2 countries. So, but if a group of farmers can do the you know, when you have the seeds, you need the machinery to clean it, and then you can dehull them. Then you need machinery for that. You can press oil from it. You have beautiful proteins from it. And then with a small cooperative, you can do that. I think you then do define the investments are not too high, and then the product, this should be also for your state in that sense, and that's, you know, in this area where you work. And I think dispensaries, they should sell the food, you know, they should sell also the benefit of hemp, not only the medical thing. But it is possible, but I don't know, you know, it is, we live in an industrialized world, and I don't like it, and I would like to change it, but I don't know how. We don't know. The bloody stock market will still exist. I don't like it, but maybe we have to go there to do what, if you know, if we want to do textile, for example, or we want to do insulation. We sell a lot of insulation, but now we make it somewhere else, so it's bloody expensive. So if we want to make a machinery like that, it is about 10 million euro. I don't have that. Maybe I can invest another 1 million or 2 million this year again. You know, it's like the Sensi seeds goes into the hemp flax and the museum or what. You know, but so it is. You need capital to do this on an industrial base. And if you're talking textile, look at the textile factories. You don't believe it. It's science fiction, so big. You know, it's crazy. And if you look at China factories, how they grow and to grow. Instead of cotton, we grow hemp, beautiful, but it is a bulk material. So I was asked to open a factory in Canada, because in Canada they only were allowed to take the seeds and not the fiber. But when the fiber is open, I should open there. We can build a factory there, right? If we have the knowledge and we have everything. And then well, that is a good idea. And where can I sell it to? Well, somewhere in South Carolina, maybe, or North Carolina, I forgot. The transport from Canada, one container to there, was $6,000, $7,000. It's crazy. So you cannot, you know, that is not, the fiber is not worth it.
Right.
You know? So you can, it's a
cost prohibitive still.
You know.
Yeah, they've made it cost prohibitive still, which is so sad.
So what we do now, we separate the hemp and the herds, right? The fiber and the herds, and then we clean the fiber very much, and that is okay for automotive industry, but not for textile. So
now there are a couple of companies out there that are making a combination of cannabis and like vegetables, like Village Farms in Canada. And they seem to be more successful because they got tomatoes and strawberries and cannabis that they can work with. Now, is that a smart thing, do you think?
I think it's very smart, because also in Spain is very in a bad position now, but already before the corona, they were not in a good position. And the only thing
I like to smoke my tomatoes.
Yes, but the only thing that works in Spain very much is this small communities, you know, the small villages. They do all this together. How do you call it? I just named it.
Communities, the communes, yeah, the co-ops.
Yeah, cooperation, right? they work together and they put everything together inside. So there's one grow
Yeah,
potatoes, the other potatoes. And,
you're talking about the farmer co-ops, right?
Yeah, the farm co-ops.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
I like that idea as well too. I find it's funny. I just left Arizona, and I was out there looking for land, so I could start a tribe. You know, because we got to be ready for anything right now. I feel like when the world is, it's going to move at that pace. I was wondering, do you study the I Ching at all? Because I know you're not religious, but I know you're spiritual as all get up. You're in line with the environment. That's how I am as well. Do you study any like ancient literatures like the I Ching or anything like that?
No, not really. But I had I come out with that not so long, but I had quite some dreams in my life, also about hemp, and also when we had problems, I dreamed the solution. And the funny thing is, the last time I go to Japan, one of the last times, I was invited by a professor from the university to see a test field. They have some test field there, small test field. And one night before we go there, I dream that I'm in a field with people, Japanese people, and it started to rain like anything. And I take my shirt out, and everybody took the shirt out. And it was in my dream. So the next day we go there, and the field, the sun's shining, everything nice. We have some food in a restaurant. We go to the field. I'm stepping out of the car, and it starts to rain. And we walk in, just start a bit rain, we walk into the field, and it rains, pours rain, same in my dream. And I said, this is same in my dream. I took my shirt out, and everybody took the shirt out. So that is something that is spiritual to me. And that it happened also in my things with hemp. But the thing is, you have to, maybe it is a dream, I don't know. Maybe it was a dream, my life. I don't know.
There's no coincidence.
Let me ask you this, since we're on this level, we were just talking about it earlier, because you have created strains of cannabis. I was just sharing earlier that when I'm around the cannabis plant, I can walk into a field and it be towards my back, and I not even lay eye on it, but my back can sense this energy. And I've walked by tomato plants and not felt that. I've walked by strawberry plants and didn't even notice them. But there can be one cannabis plant in a 40-acre field, and I zero in on that in a minute. And when I water them and when I'm around them, they go for wilt to like almost saying, thank you, I love you, thank you for feeding me. I feel like this plant has an aura. Do you feel that when you work with this plant as well?
Yes, it's a long time already. A very long time. Very long time. And it's the strongest feeling I got is when you have a field like 50 acres, one field, and it is all these little seeds coming out, and all these little plants are there. When I look at it, and I just, it's amazing. The energy is great. It's beautiful. It's nice. Yes, I don't know. I don't want to be too much of a. Life is life.
Oh, we don't judge here.
There,
We don't do any judging.
If anybody would know if there was an energetic aura around this one plant, it would be you.
Yeah, you're our guide on that for sure.
Yeah.
I sit with a friend of mine, and it's a funny story. And that's a long time ago, 40 years or what. And we sit around a big plant, and we read somewhere that you can do some blinking to a plant. That means like you sit there and open your eyes and blink. Open your eyes and blink. And then you move slowly towards the plant. And if the branches are like that, and you move in, the more you move in, it opens. It is really, you're not gonna touch it. It is amazing. And we did it 2 times, and maybe we were so stoned. It happens, and if you can try it,
That's awesome.
But it really happens to me, and that is it is nice, and you feel it. Yeah. But my mother had beautiful flowers, and she had the same. They're always beautiful flowers. So it's every living creature is like that. Not only hemp, man. It's not only cannabis. It's the whole world. The whole nature is alive. And that's beautiful.
we put ourselves above plants and animals a lot of the times because we've evolved a little bit more than they have, just a little bit. But I was doing some meditation looking at a tree the other day for like 30 minutes. And I was feeling the wind on my back, and the tree was moving from the same wind gust, you know? And I'm like, we just experience life differently, right? That tree's experiencing life, but he doesn't wake up in the morning and is pissed because of conditions, you know? He doesn't wake up in the morning because the check didn't come in, or he's not worried about stress paying bills. A stressful day for him is a hard rainstorm, but he's a tree, so he gets through it, you know? Doesn't complain, you know? And it was just a real, real cool meditation session. Yeah. So everything you're saying just resonates with me so big. I'm such a big you fan, it's ridiculous. And so, yeah, for sure.
Well, I've read studies where people have recorded the sounds of plants, and that plants supposedly do make sounds. Now, I imagine, too, you've also experimented with music and plants. Have you been? And what is that like?
Well, I did, of course, when I work in my greenhouse, we have music on, and sometimes classical or just chill out, you know. But like what I just wanted to mention before is like, it's not only hemp, it's not only cannabis, but probably cannabis is the tree of life. You know, there's no other plant that has so much possibilities.
Well, they
so
found one in
much
Egypt.
to give to
I'll
human.
send you a picture of it. It's got a lot of DMT in it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'll send you a picture of it. It's a DMT plant, though. It's nice.
No, yeah.
Continue.
Go ahead. We didn't mean to cut you off, Ben.
Yeah. Please continue.
Well, hold on. Yeah. You still there?
Yeah, we are.
All right. Okay, I got you again.
All right.
All right. No, sometimes the sound stops. I don't know why.
But you were talking about your experience with music with the plants.
Yeah, well, then I didn't really, was bloody hard working also in the greenhouse. So the music was more for myself than for the plants. But I read about it and I saw things about it, so I believe in it. They feel it's amazing.
You know, as we're going across the globe here, Ben, we've been paying attention to as much as we can to where we are at any given moment. And where you are is interesting because there's places right above you and below you with different time zones, for one thing. You've got a mix right there. And Singapore is, we just came past them, and we're coming out the next hour that we come into. We passed Laos and you know, some of these countries. It seems very interesting to me because, I don't know, in my mind, you've got some of the best cannabis on earth, absolutely, going back historically, probably, you know, I'm dealing with subjective stuff and I'm trying to say it like a fact, but damn it, it is some of the best cannabis on earth in some of that area around there. And yet at the same time, it's also some of the roughest places like Singapore where you can get caned in the street for cannabis. You know, some rough places. And China and Russia have just been our unbelievable adversaries at the UN, and, you know, really steadfast supporters of prohibition. It just seems like almost like a thin spot on earth. Where you are right there is like where everything meets. Does that make sense? It's like where the prohibition meets, you know, the finest cannabis on earth. You know, it's occupying in the near space.
It's interesting. You know, it's also, again, you know, if you look in the past, like what I always do with my museum, right? And it's interesting. I was in Japan, and then the wife from the Prime Minister, Abe, was there also a speaker, and she also had the story. She went to the test field from cannabis. She's pro-cannabis, and she feel the energy there also. And then in her lecture, she also mentioned that Japan is one of the most amazing hemp countries. You know, everything is hemp. There's a temple only for hemp. You have a temple for gold or copper or iron, but there's also a temple for hemp. And every temple has hemp in it. The textile, early textile, was mainly hemp also. So, and she mentioned also that in the food there was a lot of hemp. And she mentioned that after the World War II, hemp became forbidden because of America said so, right? And before it was legal. So since then, it's gone. And I think she knows CBD. And I think this prime minister who was 2 times sick, he was absent, he was not on his job. I heard maybe he had something on his prostate, maybe he used it, I'm not sure about it, but that's the rumor, what they say. It could be true because he's very positive about CBD. But what I mean to say is that also in the law, if like here in Malaysia, it's mainly British. It's a British law system. And of course they make their own rules and regulations, but it was all given by what? No, it was input there because of the law that they make somewhere in where was it? You remember where they make the law? It was first in the Senate, right? Enslinger.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing in 1911. I think it was in London. And then the beautiful story about it is that I think it was 1911 or 20 or something. There was a congress and there were some doctors and they say, hey, we're gonna make this cannabis. No, they make the opium forbidden. And then they set up an Egyptian doctor who came up and he say, yeah, if opium should be forbidden, hashish should also be forbidden. And the reason what he gave that he said, in Egypt, we have more idiots than you guys in England. We have more morons, more crazy people, and they all crazy because of smoking hashish. So, and that is the same shit that was Enslinger in the Congress did, it's bullshit. The whole history, the law, why it is forbidden is totally bullshit. Malaysia is an Islamic country where I live in Sabah. It's 50-50 Christians and
I have to
Muslims.
say, even though I've been
And it's beautiful, but because also in the Muslim
years, I'm still stunned at the fact that America was able to wield so much power over your country, Australia, China, Japan, on this one topic. How did America get away with doing that? How did all these countries bow down to America's cannabis hemp laws?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. Also,
elitists have no government. The top 10%, the top 1% is everywhere. Everywhere. They don't run by government or country bounds. They're there with the money. Period.
Follow the money.
Well, they should come with a better plan than only making wars and killing people, right? Maybe they come with a better plan.
Well, now looking at the future for a better plan, what are you working on for the future to make the world a better place?
I try to let hemp flags grow. It should be a world player because we work on it for 25 years. We know what we're doing. We know what can and what cannot. We know it. Good story is that Canopy, they started also with hemp and they hire or bought 50,000 acre or what, some land. And then they call my manager, they needed seeds, so 30 tons of seeds for the first start. We started very late, so we sent it by plane. So 30 tons is expensive, but
we've come a long way.
They got the seeds, and then 3 weeks later they call again. Yeah, but actually we need a harvester also. So they send the harvester with amazing, and then they find out that the land was not suitable for hemp. So it is what I try to say to people, and it's not nice to say, but don't start hemp just like that. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know where you're going. And it's not like, hey, I take a couple of 100 acres
now
of
that's
land.
kind of interesting to hear too, because Jack Kerr always said that this plant grows anywhere and everywhere and under any condition.
Yes, that it does. But if you want to grow it for yourself, okay, cooperative, small cooperation, yes. But for the rest, it is very difficult to do. There's so many factors why this material. You look at the old times, look at the old pictures where how the people was working on it, eating dust all the time. Look in my factory. The people working bloody hard. It's not it's rolling a joint.
So it is still high in labor. It's still labor intensive.
Yes, and very much energy goes in it, in the machineries and everything. It's amazing, man. It's the strongest fiber what we got in the world.
But it's still labor intensive. It takes a lot of people to make it happen.
Yes. But then the transport, the machinery you need to get it from the land and the whole thing. So that's why I say, be careful what you do. And when you have a small group of farmers with different machinery that can, you can do some investment in what you need to do. But otherwise, as a solo, yeah.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to kind of chime in here. I'm sorry?
I'm listening.
Oh, I'm having probably some bad connections here. The rain starting to hit here. So, but I wanted to answer your question before we got away too much from it about what's going on in the United Nations. And I think it's funny because it crosses over with what you were talking about, at least at one point, because there's Egypt is in the story. So what happened, just to give you the whole long story for everybody out there, so everybody could get caught up, just a few seconds more than the short story, really. And that is, I started working on cannabis, looking at it as an essential medicine. And this was something that I picked up around 2008, 2007, because I looked and I found a list at the World Health Organization where they maintain a list of what's called essential medicines that would be in each country's sort of medical kit for any kind of routine needs, and especially drugs that are very useful but available, something that could be reproducible and it could be made available in developing countries, etc., is especially important. And I looked at that list and I thought, oh my God, cannabis should certainly be on that list. 2009, as I mentioned earlier, Japan kind of stepped in it when they created a resolution trying to outlaw cannabis seeds, ironically, trying to take away one of your main businesses. And Japan was joined with Azerbaijan, and Japan actually talked about how their young people were growing cannabis plants in their closet and blaming it on buying those seeds on the internet. And they wanted the UN to step in and control this and outlaw it. And like I said earlier, before you came on, that was actually a much bigger lift than they thought, because seeds have always been traditionally exempt in the treaty, being seen as hemp. So what I knew, we had stepped in something. I knew that we had something in our hands. And I actually met with, at the time, the fellow that was in charge of that department of the World Health Organization was a friend of ours. You know him, William Scholten. And William was, of course, in charge of the medical marijuana program in the Netherlands before he went to the World Health Organization and ran their essential medicines department. Yes. But for many years there, for like 3 or 4 years, I met with William at the UN, and we just scratched our heads how we could get the WHO, the World Health Organization, to convene its expert committee so that it could actually do something with this recommendation that was coming from Japan's request for review of cannabis. See, the seed request became a cannabis review request, a top to bottom reassessment of cannabis in the treaty, because they were asking for something that wasn't even included in the treaty to be put in. It became a very big lift. And it was actually after William left the World Health Organization, fellow that's there now in charge of the Essential Medicine Department, Dr. Forte, Gilles Forte, really a great guy, has been working on this. And we actually joined together with the World Health Organization and worked for about 5 years to work through recommendations. And now we have the recommendations from the World Health Organization that cannabis is a medicine, that it should be treated like any other medicine, that it should be normalized and made available as a medicine, and that they made some comments about THC, about CBD. They're working hard to make sure CBD won't become a subject of any kind of control, and make sure CBD doesn't get outlawed. And all that came as a byproduct of Japan, ironically. And where Egypt comes in is kind of funny, because it was around 1935, somewhere around there, when they were doing some assessments of cannabis in France. And they were basing a lot of what they were talking about from Egyptian police, who were, and they were complaining about cannabis products, not necessarily cannabis. If you looked at what they were complaining about, it sounded a lot like cough medicine or something like that, that had very strong other drugs other than just cannabis in it. But yet that's what the treaty was basically based on, was secondhand information about cough medicine. And Anslinger had a big role in that. Our US government had a big role in it, as you know. And I feel so embarrassed for that, you know, looking around the world and the damage that this drug war has done. You know, the USA having such a strong role to play in all that. I'm really embarrassed of that, and that's motivated me. So anyway, where we're at now is we've had so many delays, but the delays have all been really good. They've allowed the World Health Organization to educate the United Nations about cannabis. We've had several unprecedented cannabis summits at the UN, where instead of us trying to beat our heads against the wall to get them to listen, the World Health Organization is teaching about cannabis on the main stage. It's just been awesome. And if all goes well, if we pull out of this COVID stuff and it doesn't get too crazy and doesn't delay it any further, we'll have a vote in December on our recommendation. And like I said, at a very minimum, cannabis will be seen as a regular medicine. And I hadn't even really thought about it until this essential medicine stuff came up in the States, but this could very well already be part of that reevaluation of cannabis from the top down that now has removed it. It's a subtle barrier. It's no longer a pariah. You know, if there was any doubt as to whether cannabis was a medicine, because the drug warriors have been playing with that for years rhetorically. Oh, sure, cannabis is a medicine, but no, take away the but. So I'm really proud to be part of that. And, you know, whatever the vote is, we've already won that. We've already won on the battlefield of the truth. So I'm so happy to be part of that.
We can't shut up about that. We have to keep talking about that. That is
yes.
tremendous information.
And before I forget, I said it earlier before you came on, Ben, but you putting in a few bucks there to help us pay for some of the work that we did in Geneva, because we've been bouncing back and forth to Geneva for the meetings with the World Health Organization, and then Vienna, Austria for the meetings at the United Nations. It's taken a lot of funding from a lot of sources, and without Ben to help us at 2 or 3 key points, we would have fell flat on our face. So thanks for helping us along. Our small little team is pulled from every part of the globe, as you can see from this little gathering here. This is a sample, a random sample of what we put together for the UN at any given time is about the same.
Holy ground here. This is holy ground.
This is it.
And Ben, let me remind you, Jack Hare hired me 30 years ago next month.
30
so
years.
I have known you for about 30 years. Because shortly thereafter, you phoned in and we talked. And here, Michael, you've been helping. And I can tell you, between me and Michael, there's been a lot of other people you've helped as well to raise the voice of the cannabis movement and to help end cannabis prohibition around the world. So thank you so much on behalf of everybody. Oh my God, we love you so much.
It's true. No, listen, it is true that what you say. You know, I sponsored a lot of people from the beginning, and also very nice. But it was always somehow maybe the plant show me the people, you know, because it's like with Michael, you know, the beautiful job he did, right? It's amazing. And there's so many more there, you know, some people making videos and whatever, you know. But it's nice to do that. It's sometimes difficult because there's too many things we sponsor. And that is sometimes you have to look back and, hey, hold on a bit. Because the bloody thing is with hemp, it sucks money. And the museum in Barcelona also on the moment is people still have to come more. So it is.
Well,
it's
we
always
want our audience to know that because of you, cannabis prohibition has been coming to an end in Canada, in America, in Europe, in England, and at all points on earth. I mean, you have been helping all around the world cannabis to end this horrible, evil war on this plant. And because of you, Ben Dronkers, there are so many people on the planet who get their medication legally now.
Man, thank you. Give me too much honor. It's
And
the problem.
And thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Hey, we love you, man. Just have a good 420. Enjoy your day.
All right. Enjoy, yeah?
One more
See
before you
you
go.
later, guys. Thank you.
One more for the road, Ben. One more for the road.
Smoke me, got him.
It's an honor to smoke out with you, Ben.
Hey,
Love you.
nice. Love you. Love you, man. Bye,
Be good.
guys.